There's floods, there's fires, there's a pandemic. In biblical times, these would have been messages from God. Like, we don't know, God might be up there right now like, are they getting any of these messages? Is anything getting through? And God's assistant said, no, sir. Set the entire state of California on fire. Did they get the message?
One woman is saying it's space lasers, sir.
What about the pandemic? I said a plague.
They're blaming the guy who came up with Microsoft Word.
I miss the days when you could send a plague and people would listen. Because that's how God used to communicate. He was unhappy. He'd send a plague. That was like his sad face emoji. God would send a plague and humans would interpret it like, well, he either wants you to let the Hebrews go or, wow, he really wants us to eat these frogs. This is a lot of frogs. I love how that was one of the plagues. Like, God got his assistant together. He's like, write down all these plagues. And the assistant's like, yes, sir, yes, sir. We're going to freak that Pharaoh out. First, we're going to turn all the water into blood, water into blood.
And the assistant's like, water into blood. Got it, sir.
All right, now we're going to take it up a notch. Frogs.
And the assistant's like, what about frogs, sir?
That's the second plague. You know everyone's frightened of frogs?
They are, sir?
Oh, yeah, I created frogs, and I'm terrified. I mean, what are frogs? Are they fish? Are they lizards?
They're amphibians, sir.
They're amphibians, sir. Just write down the damn plagues. I don't pay you for your commentary. I like how there were 10 plagues, 10 plagues, you know, like there were albums God released. Like a catalog. Was there ever a retrospective where God was interviewed? He was like, yes, my 10 plagues, they really were a reflection of where I was at the time. I knew I wanted to start with water into blood. I was going to do water into wine, but I thought I'd save that for my son. And then the frogs. I was in a crazy place. I had just watched a bunch of Muppet movies. God's communication all over the place, right? He did the plagues, then he talked to Moses as the burning bush, then he sent angels. He was like, Gabriel, get in here! And Gabriel's like, yes, sir, I have my horn. Do you want to hear a song? God's like, hell no. Gabriel, I need you to go down to earth and find Mary.
Gabriel's like, do you have a last name, sir?
Mary, it's not Magdalene, it's the other one. Oh, you'll recognize her. She has a halo and she stands like this.
Okay, sir.
Go down to earth, find Mary, and tell her she's gonna have my child.
Excuse me, sir?
Tell Mary she's gonna be my baby's mama.
Sir, you want me to tell her?
Well, I can't do it. She's only 14, it would be inappropriate.
Anything else, sir?
Yeah, when you're down there, get me some hummus. And look out for frogs. They're everywhere.
I'm Catholic. Catholics believe that God has sent Mary down to earth numerous times. These are called Marian visitations. Mary usually comes down and talks to the least helpful person she can find. Mary will be like, you French peasant girl, build me a church. And the girl's like, I'm 12. But my favorite Marian visitation is when Mary visited Mexico. She visited Juan Diego. Juan Diego was an Aztec convert who used to walk 10 miles every day to church. 10 miles. And one day Juan Diego was walking to church and Mary appeared and she's like, Juan Diego, tell the bishop to build a church here. And Juan Diego's like, I've been Catholic for a week. And Mary's like, just do it. So Juan Diego walked all the way into town, all the way into town, all the way into town. And he found the bishop and he's like, Bishop, Jesus' mom told me to tell you to build a church closer to where I live. And the bishop was like, do you have proof? And Juan Diego's like, she made it sound like you guys knew each other. And the next day, Juan Diego's uncle, who he lived with, became ill, and the uncle sent him into town for help. And as Juan Diego was leaving, he remembered Mary, and he's like, I don't want to run into her. So he went a different way, thinking he could trick God's mom. And Mary was like, what the hell are you doing? He said, my uncle's sick. I'm going to get him help. And the bishop, he said he needs proof. And Mary said, I'll deal with your uncle. Go into the mountains and pick these flowers and bring them to the bishop as proof. And Juan Diego's like, I don't think you know what proof is. But he went into the mountains and he picked all these flowers and he put them in his cape and he walked all the way into town and he found the bishop and he said, Bishop, Jesus' mom told me to tell you to build a church closer to where I live. And the bishop was like, do you have proof? And Juan Diego's like, I hope you like flowers. And he dropped his cape, and all these roses that were not in season fell to the ground. And on his cape was an image of Kanye West. No, it was the Virgin Mary, you sinners. But as a result, the bishop built the church closer to where Juan Diego lived. All of Mexico became Catholic, and Juan Diego's uncle invented the burrito. And if you don't believe that, you're going to hell.